Hello everyone, welcome back to the Capsule in Conversation. I'm Natalie Anderson, and on today's episode I'm joined by our fashion editor Anna Muse and this week's very special guest, actress, presenter and writer Shobna Gulati, as we talk wellness, the West End and celebrating women. So sit back, relax and get ready to join in with our conversation. Hello everyone! Thank you so much for joining us on International Women's Day. We are sending all of you listening in big high fives and a round of applause on all of your amazing achievements. We are also giving a big high five and saying hello to our fabulous Anna Muse. Hello Anna.
Hello, how are you?
Good, thank you. And you?
Yes, not bad.
Good. And a huge hello and double high fives to this week's very special guest, the multi-talented Shobna Gulati. Hello, Shobna.
Hiya, both of you. How are you both this morning?
Good, thank you. Very, very good. Yeah, I mean, it's freezing cold outside, but we're kind of all right in here now, aren't we?
Yes, we are. We're good.
Now, Shobna, I have to say this. Trying to write an introduction for you was extremely hard. And not because there was nothing to write, but because there was too much to write. I mean, with an acting career spanning over 20 years, playing notable roles in Dinner Ladies and Coronation Street, we've also seen you in BAFTA-winning films such as Shadow Scan and taking lead roles in the West End. You're also the writer and director of the critically acclaimed Masala Girls and have more recently been seen playing the role of Ray in the West End production of Everybody's Talking About Jamie, a role that you'll also be playing in the upcoming film version of the show alongside Sarah Lancashire and Sharon Horgan. I mean, honestly, I really could go on and on and on. You must be so proud of that body of work, and that's a tiny bit.
It's not 2 decades, it's over 3 decades.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, because
Wow.
I'm heading well into my 50s now, so that's over 34 years
Oh my goodness.
of being a performer or a maker or a creative. I started off as a dancer,
Yeah.
and then I don't know what happened. An agent saw me in London and said, "And you've got quite good comic timing," because I had this little show I did at Theatre Royal Stratford East. Well, actually, it wasn't that little. It won some Time Out award. It was
Wow, it's pretty big then.
Not really that little.
It was just sort of because I'd been doing theatre and education for a long time, and I'd been teaching dance for a long time, and I'd been travelling around the country, going into schools and communities, teaching Indian dance everywhere. There's bound to be somebody listening who's had one of my classes at some point. I'd say you'd be about, between your 30s and 40s.
Wow.
If you've had one of my Indian dance classes when you were in primary.
Amazing. I love it.
Anyway, but yeah, so it's been a long time, and we did this show at Theatre Royal Stratford East, and it was like I had kind of the dancer part. In fact, I am the original wet sari girl. Yes, I was rained on.
Yeah.
In this show, which was about sort of celebrating Bollywood. And you know how in Bollywood, at a certain time, at a certain juncture, nobody kissed. So in order to do the sort of sexy part, you sort of handed it over to somebody else and did sort of like an imagery thing.
Oh, right.
So the imagery thing was me getting wet.
Was it?
And you were the original.
I'm the original one on stage, that is.
Brilliant.
Wow.
And yeah, so I did that. But then I had these little comedy moments in there, you know, ditzy secretary to, you know, kind of bumbling copper. I played all of these little roles in this thing. And yeah, this agent saw me and she said, "You have people in the palm of your hand when you're doing comedy." I said, "Do I?" I didn't know. And then the rest is kind of history. So I carried on with my TIE, and then I auditioned for Dinner Ladies.
I was just about to say then, Dinner Ladies, then that obviously then, you know, your agent spotted that in you, that you have that comic timing. And so it must have been amazing to be working with Victoria Wood.
It was the most amazing thing. I mean, I have to say I went through quite a few auditions before I think I met Vic on my second audition.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How did that feel meeting her? Because, I mean, she's so iconic, isn't she?
Yeah, it was really, really scary. But the funny thing was we met, in the old Granada TV buildings.
Yeah.
We met in the basement, right at the bottom with all the sort of things that come off the wall, that carry the water or the heat.
Oh, right. Sort of not very glam.
Pipes.
Pipes, yeah.
The pipes. And there she was sitting between these two pipes. And I'd got sent this script and I thought it was really funny. But then I didn't understand it quite. There was a reference to, can I say this on the capsule? There was a reference to a lilo and a dildo.
Yes, you can definitely say,
say
oh,
that.
trust me, you can say it.
So I knew what a dildo was. So that was the joke, and that got me the job, I think.
Really?
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Wow.
I mean, again, just your career has just been, you've like you said, it's spanned 3 decades. And something that I found with acting is that it's consistency. It's so hard to keep going from job to job and maintain positive mental health. How have you done that in terms of there are those periods where you have a great high and then there's a low.
There's lots of that. But
Yeah.
basically, I have this conversation with a lot of young people now, young actors, who say to me, all I want to do is act. Well, yeah, don't we all?
Yeah.
It's not as easy as that. It's kind of, you've got to kind of bank your positives. So that's why I always say, the woos, when you go, whoop, I got a recall, or I got the job, you just put them in the bank. So that's what I do. I bank all those whoops. Mm-hmm. And then when I need them to validate myself after I've not got 5 jobs out of 5, or I've had 15 self-tapes, not one of them have I managed to learn everything in it and then give a most fantastic performance and then not get the job. I just sort of bank the woohoos.
And I think
I come back to them.
Yeah, because I think that's what, obviously I'm not from the acting world at all. So I watch people like yourself and Natalie and doing all these things. And I don't think people realise how hard it is and would probably not imagine like someone like you who's had so much success would also have had people saying, oh no, you're not right for this role, or,
Constantly.
knockbacks.
Constantly I'm not right. And now I'm at this funny age where I'm kind of like in my 50s, but then I get through the first bank of self-tape and then I go into a room. This really, really annoyed me last year. I went into the room and the writer said, oh, you look really young. And I said, didn't you watch my first self-tape?
Yeah.
Why did you call me back? Why have I wasted £84 on the train to come right back to London to have this conversation with you?
Yeah.
Why couldn't you just look at my tape and tell me that I was young when you saw my tape?
Yeah.
Instead of putting me through the same thing again. I just think, what do I have to do to prove to you that I can do this job? And the funny thing is like, it's almost like you have to be job ready even before you've even sort of got the rest of the script, because lots of scripts are secret.
Right.
That's a hassle.
Yeah, with the NDA.
You get these PIN codes to get into the scripts that last for about, I don't know, it's like Mission Impossible.
I was going to say, it's very like covert mission, isn't it?
It is covert mission. It can be, oh gosh, some really famous directors directing this, and you go, oh, that's great. So what is it? And you get three lines in a script.
Because you can't see the rest of it.
No.
My goodness.
And that's so hard as well, because that's happened to me. And I'm like, well, what are you, if I'm trying to give you a well-rounded character, what else am I basing this on? You've given me literally like 2 lines, and now how can I interact with you? Because I don't know the rest of the backstory. And then if you ask that question, it's like, oh, we don't really have time to tell you that. So you're like, well, I've got no chance then, because I don't know what I'm basing it on. It's really hard.
It's very random.
Yeah.
It's very random. I have had a few jobs from self-tapes. There was at one point I said, oh, I never get a job from a self-tape. And then
of course you did.
Then I did, yeah. I think it's, as I said, it's banking your successes. It's banking all of those things that can revalidate you, because nobody else is going to do that. Not your partner, not your family, not your kids, not your parents. The only person that can validate you is yourself. And also, you can't take things personally. You just can't. I mean, you absolutely can't. When I met Vic in that bunker at Granada, there was only one other girl waiting outside, and I felt quietly confident. There wasn't like 6 million people waiting to see her. So I thought, well, I've got a chance then, you know. Because normally you go into a room and you see, but also because I'm a woman of colour, you see every other woman of colour of your age group and not. Sometimes, you know, I once was in a room with a friend of mine who's a writer and an actress. And she said, are we up for the same job? And I went, yeah. I said, there's 20 years between us. So they don't even know what they're looking for. They just want, and I'm going to be controversial here, they just want a brown person.
I think.
And they haven't figured out how
they're going to get the brown person into the role. Yeah, no, I do agree with you in that. And I think the television and film industry and the entertainment industry in general, it is a strange place because from my experience recently, it's like it's not even about necessarily your talent. It is very much how you look and if you tick that particular box, not based on your skill set, not like you know, I've been turned down for jobs because my regional accent, I've been asked what's my regional accent, even though the characters maybe have got an RP accent, they've asked first what's her regional accent, and when my agent said Northern, they're like, oh no. But yeah, I'm trained. I'm a trained actress that can do all kinds of different accents. But the fact that my regional, normal accent is regional, they said no. And I was like, but we're here to act. That's our job, is to play different characters. So you're not seeing past anything else. It's infuriating.
They don't see past anything.
They don't see past anything, exactly.
No. And then if you're, you know, I can't hide my heritage. So it's quite, you know, it's interesting. It's interesting. I used to get these conversations. I mean, as I said, it's over 30 years. So imagine, has
changed a lot?
No.
The
conversations have not changed.
Really?
See, that's really sad in that space of time that they haven't changed at all.
Well, you know, people say when, you know, obviously I'm doing Everybody's Talking About Jamie, and that is such a refreshing piece of theatre because when you watch it, you see people from everywhere, from all sorts of backgrounds, from all sorts of specificities and non-specificities. That is just, you know, but that is the exception. It's not the rule.
Yeah, but that's life, right? Everywhere it should be people of all ages, backgrounds, shapes, sizes. It's the same with the fashion world, which obviously I'm much more immersed in than the acting world, although I consume obviously and watch TV and theatre. But it's the same with the fashion industry, where I think we're moving towards having a bit more diversity and a bit more, you know, different ages and body shapes and things, but there's still a long way to go.
Well, I started as a model. I modelled in Paris, and it was really funny because I was this really skinny young girl who had the most massive chest. And they used to I mean, in French, they used to call me, but I'll just say, I mean, sorry if it sounds offensive, but it was offensive. They used to call me the coloured girl with the big chest.
Right.
So they'd call me, you know, at the fashion show.
That's what
they'd call that. So I'd have to get dressed quickly and then, you know, get gone and get into the...
So they'd actually call it over the tannoy?
Well, yeah, they'd call it... They'd shout it. They shout it.
Oh,
because
my God.
all your models are there for catwalk. You're all just there and you're all in and out of these clothes. And, so if they needed me, I was the coloured girl with the big chest.
Wow.
And that's that's how I was described. But it was really good for couture because my waist was really, really tiny. And I could wear like these lovely wedding gowns and things like that.
Yeah.
And really sort of really, nothing too plain, lots of embroidered detail kind of things I used to wear. Yeah, I mean, quite interesting. But I also, in France, I was a little bit exotic.
Yeah.
You see, as well, because of my background, they weren't used to that heritage.
Yeah.
At the time, this was 80, 89, 90.
So you've done modelling, dancing,
writing,
acting. Was that when you were younger, did you know that you wanted to act, or did you think you were going to do something else? What did you think when you were a little girl?
Well, it's really interesting. My mum passed away in November this last year.
Sorry.
And she... so I'm in the process of clearing mum's things, and honestly, looking through the photos are really interesting. My sisters both sang in a band called the Golden Eagles. And it was kind of like they did covers of Bollywood and ABBA.
Oh, amazing.
My big sister was a great singer. My other sister, she was a looker and could do harmony. So
Good combo.
Yeah, good combo. But well, they were both really attractive. Well, they still are, but at the time they were like hot. And they just hung out with these lads from Ashton, you know, bass guitarist, and drummer, and keyboards.
Yes.
And they did these songs. And, you know, we were like the family that everybody thought was really cool. And I was just really awkward, I have to say. I mean, I was always loud and a bit sort of brash, but I was really shy. So that was kind of like, I was that typical acting out person who would either cry or scream, but not actually do it. So I was sort of in the corner. So that my mum and dad said, well, why don't we try with dancing? So that's where I sort of...
So we started.
Yeah,
right.
but I was still quite shy, really, as my mum says, painfully shy. I was really painfully shy. And then my sisters were really gorgeous, you know, with these hourglass figures. And I mean, I looked like a little boy. There's no harm in looking like a little boy, but I looked like a little boy. And it was, you know, big eyebrows, big mouth, big nose. And it was just kind of like, oh, awkward. But I could dance, you know, move my body in space, and that was all right. But that was sort of nice to do that. But then they kind of pushed, you know, because my dad sang, and, you know, we were an interesting family, not your, you know.
A family of performers as well.
Yeah, I think I often think this, I think we all would have been performers. In fact, my big sister changed from being a biochemist to a music teacher. She teaches music and singing now, you know.
Yeah, so as Anna says, you're clearly a very musical, creative family. For you, so when you did end up acting, did you feel then you were able to kind of express more and come out of yourself more by playing the characters, and then you could go back to being yourself?
It's really hard to go back to being yourself once you're well known.
Yes, yeah.
I didn't know that being well known would change anything. You know, I get really anxious. You know, I come out of stage door and there's sort of these lovely Jamie fans all there ready. You know, a variety of people, you know, from who love different aspects of your work, and then Jamie.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I just, you know, I come out, as you see me now, this is how I am. I just, you know, after being on stage in the tightest clothes and the, you know, the glamorous wig and makeup, and then I come out and they go, it is her. And it's kind of, then it is. And then that second thing of all those people, I find it really hard.
Really, even though you've been in the industry for such a long time.
Yeah. And also socially with the, you know, with my new family now, I just have to keep writing on the WhatsApp. I will come out. I will come. I just have to feel safe, you know.
It is. It's very hard to fulfill people's perceptions of you, because like you say, I expect it was probably the same when you were at Coronation Street, and especially at that time when you were at Coronation Street as well. You know, when the viewing figures were so high. Obviously, there's streaming and everything else now, so there's a bit of a different audience share. But at that time, being in a soap it's huge, and I know it's something I really struggled with, was fulfilling people's expectations of what they want you to be or who they imagine you to be versus who you actually are.
It is complicated.
It is very complicated.
That's why I've got this great big bank of things.
Yeah.
I pull out when I need it. You know, I just, you know, you have to invest in yourself. That's why I use the word bank. You have to invest in yourself, otherwise you will start to lose your mental health.
So what does that look like for you in terms of your well-being and self-care? How do you look after yourself?
Well, it's been a complicated journey. I looked after my mum for many years.
Yeah.
It was a sort of a symbiotic relationship. She helped me raise my son. I'm a single parent. And then as her health concerns grew, I began to look after her. So I lost myself a little bit during that period of time, quite a lot actually. And it's only in the last few months since I've lost Mum that I feel like I'm ready to go to the bank. I mean, there was stuff in there, but now I'm making withdrawal.
Yeah, you're drawing on it.
Yeah. Self-care is trying to sleep enough hours. Self-care is moisturising my body and my face. Self-care is brushing my hair, maybe even washing it. I'm not very good at washing my hair, to be honest. It's one of the things that have never been sort of... I mean, my mum didn't encourage us to wash our hair very often, actually, because it's not good for your hair.
No.
And then, you know, the last thing I wanted to do, I've cut it now, so it's really quick, so I can wash it more often. But in the past, when I had long hair, flipping heck.
Who's got time for that?
Who's got time for long hair? And then when I had short hair, I had blonde hair. Who's got time for that? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
A lot of it is time, isn't it?
But it's also, I think, sometimes the simplest things that we can do, like you say, getting enough sleep, taking the time to whack a bit of moisturiser on so that our skin feels better. It's the simple things sometimes that do make such a big difference, actually.
Looking for the polka dot trousers like I tried this morning, and then finding them, that was quite good. But I do think I've got a big journey. I've got to sort loads of stuff. I became a hoarder because I was quite, I think I've been quite ill. So I've hoarded a lot of things and stuff.
It's only when you look back as well, like when you're in that situation, it's hard, isn't it, to gain perspective. It's only after the fact that you can kind of look and think, oh, actually, I wasn't in a great place then. And, I'm on a bit of a journey now back to feeling better again.
I think so. I think I'll feel well soon, and I will start to put everything in order. You know, going through mum's things as well has made me think about everything, you know. You recognise your own mortality.
Of course, and all those memories as well that must be coming up as you're going through her thing.
You know, great photos of this band, and then mum's kept all the cuttings of me being a dancer, you know, all the local papers.
Yeah.
And she's kept all the cuttings of everything to do with anything on telly as well. I mean, it's massive. It's a massive resource. It's kind of, it's extraordinary what she's kept. But then you just realise how much you have done, because you forget, because nobody tells you. And as you say, you go for a job and it doesn't matter how much you've done. Your skills don't matter. Your training doesn't matter. Nothing matters. It's whether you look all right or you're brown enough.
Wow. Yeah.
I mean, I was going to say, you've always been very active in terms of women's rights, and obviously today is International Women's Day. And so I kind of, you know, with everything that we've had recently in the media with Harvey Weinstein and all of the Me Too movement, I mean, where do you feel like we are now, and where do we need to go?
I think we've still got a long way to travel. I think that, working in comedy or working as a comic actress, that's still quite difficult. I mean, I know we've got some great comic women out there, but can you not just be a comic? Or can you not just be an actor? You know, every time I say I'm an actor, people go, actress.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's so funny. And I go, well, if you like.
Yeah.
You know, I can't get into that because as soon as they go, actress, you can see it, you know, everything buckling. Actress. I'm like, all right, I'm not going to go there. Comedian. You know, it's kind of like, but it is interesting how blokes will laugh at blokes and women will laugh at women. You know, and like in rehearsals or whatever, if you've got a funny line, you can you know, the lads get more laughs.
Really?
I still think so. I know it. I know it's a little bit of a, maybe he does it better than me. But do you know what I mean? It's kind of like, there is still something that separates us. And who knows what that is? I mean, it's a minefield now, isn't it? With everything.
It is.
And how we identify who, you know, by sex or gender. You know, these things are really hard. Yeah. And I feel like I am a feminist, and I have spoken. And in fact, I found a picture of me and my mum. It's hysterical. It's just kind of like, there's me just like bleating out something. She's just looking at me. It's because I must have been fighting something.
Yeah.
I mean, I've always fought something. The status quo, Miss Controversy. But yeah, I don't know how how it's changing. I think we just need to create those equal opportunities.
Yeah.
And those equal opportunities should be for all of us, however we identify.
Yeah.
However, and I will be controversial here, that women have been fighting and fighting. So in that opportunity for everybody, let's not forget women and their struggle. That's all I say,
I mean,
because, there's loads and loads of, what do we think about safe spaces and toilets and all of that? There's a lot to think about. There's a lot to think about now.
There is a lot to think about. And there's also as well, we had Dr. Larissa Corder on a few episodes back, and her conversation was honestly incredible. What she brought to the table in terms of she works a lot with people with endometriosis and infertility, and she said, there's been case studies that she's had where women have essentially been fired for needing time off for things that are female related, not out of their control, but because people don't understand it, it's difficult, let's get rid of them. And there's a lot of campaigning to be done to kind of educate people about women, about women's bodies, about women's needs. We're 50% of the population. It should absolutely be standard. So there is so much that we need to do, and I think personally it's education.
Absolutely. Even going on tour, what do you want, Shobna? I want a toilet.
Yeah.
I know it sounds really strange to say, but I don't really want to share a toilet.
Yeah.
I mean, also, I'm in my 50s, please can I have a toilet now? Can I have my own room with a toilet? But it's really hard to, say that.
Yeah.
And I'm still finding it hard to say that's what my needs are. I have a dietary condition. I'm a celiac. So that's quite complicated, especially on tour.
Yeah.
If I ate something that didn't agree with me, I want some privacy around that.
Yeah.
I really do. And I want some privacy around being a woman of a certain age, and I want, but
it's still not an easy conversation.
It's not an easy conversation, and you have to have it.
And you feel difficult if you do, bring it up. I remember when I was pregnant, and you have to fill in all these forms to make sure your place of work is safe and everything, don't you? And I remember kind of saying, it was something to do with the temperature. And to be fair, ITV were great with me and they really looked after me. But I remember thinking that heating situation should just be standard. Why is it being put in just because I'm pregnant? Whereas, it should be something that we're actually looked after in general. Why are we not being looked after?
But also, were the other actresses on the show who were maybe going through the menopause and might have issues with temperature control, were they asked those same questions?
Exactly. We don't know. We don't know if they were asked those questions. Yeah. That's something else Anna and I have discussed before, is women that are entering into the menopause age. And
I know that.
Well, for us, we're trying to champion in the idea that people are educated from 35 upwards, basically, and this is what to expect. This is kind of what you should be preparing your body for. Workplaces, people shouldn't be made to feel silly. If just like you would with a pregnant woman, have that kind of same attitude towards somebody who could be menopausal or whatever. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, I'm having a conversation right now about a cotton gusset in some tights, please. Do you know what I mean? It's a really strange thing to say, but a lot of control underwear, because I have to wear quite a lot of control underwear in this piece because she wears very tight clothes.
Yeah.
Right. My body it does what everybody else's body does. As soon as you pinch it, there'll be a bit extra that falls on top. So control underwear is, important when you're wearing tight jeans or high-waisted jeans, And so it's been quite complicated because I got really hot. I've got really hot and embarrassed about that, and what that then does to your body. And when you are at this age, it's a vicious cycle of different things that go on. You can't control it unless you take hormones.
Yeah.
I'm not prepared to do that. Mm-hmm. But it's kind of like, then I have to deal with all the effects of, and I'll say it, you get, it's a constant battle. with you downstairs. It's a constant battle, and you can't seem to, keep it at regular environment.
I mean, you can feel free to say anything on here because we're kind of.
It's so interesting though, because you get, I get cystitis, I get thrush, I get vaginal dryness, and then it all changes out again, and then suddenly you've got BV, and then you've got no, you haven't, and then you're fine again, and then you're not. But that's all to do with your body changing post-menopause, and obviously. There's some interesting things around having had a child and what that then does to your body as your body gets older. There's bladder weakness, there's your pelvic floor, no matter how many pelvic floor exercises you do, it's just
never the same.
No, because everything stretches. There's a lot of incontinence that can happen to women both ends. And it's really, really complicated. And I think that, nobody it's sort of been so hidden, nobody talks about it.
Absolutely.
That then you just get, so I'd like to see for International Women's Day, people talking a bit more about this and recognising our different needs as women.
Yeah.
And
that's why we talk about it on the podcast.
We talk about it all the time, honestly, because we really are trying, and we think it's so important to have those conversations. Like, stop the stigma with it. Let's just talk about it. Let's say this. Let's say that. Let's be real about it. Is that that what's happening? Then tell us.
I'd really like things to be a bit cheaper as well. Now, so your tests for. Now you can get everything over the counter. When I was a girl, you couldn't get anything over the counters, but now you can. But it's so expensive. Yeah. I mean, bad enough having thrush, but then having to pay for trying to get rid of it. Flipping heck, what is that? It's so expensive. And then if you're doing it naturally, that's also really expensive. It's just like, can we care about each other a little bit more? But who controls those purse strings? So that's what we need to talk about. And those, young women in their periods. And I work across generations now.
Yeah.
I happen to be the oldest woman in the company, but then the youngest is just turned 18. And there's me at the other end. So it's kind of interesting because you go through all of that and you're touring.
Mm-hmm.
And people are going in and out of relationships, and there's all sorts of things happening as they're growing and becoming women. And where's the support? That's what we do need. We need people to talk about stuff.
Yeah, I think so, definitely. And
and dancing as well. It's so close body, isn't it?
Yeah,
I mean, it's just like flipping heck. I had a right terrible, miserable experience on Mamma Mia when I went touring.
Really?
Yeah, because I think that, the sexism from some of the people in the company was just too much. And, we're all together because we're international tour, we're on buses together, and you hear everybody's everyday chat, which actually just goes on to perpetuate stereotypes around women.
Yeah.
Flipping heck, I've got some of it still on tape, so if they want to have words with me, I've got it on tape. But do you know what I mean? I feel like, young men need to be educated around women.
I agree, and I've got a son and a daughter, and for me it's as important to educate him as it is my daughter on what she needs, and he needs to understand that as well, because I think it's a two-way street. It's not just helping and supporting young girls and young women, it's helping and supporting
and
young
educating
boys
young
and
men.
Yeah, exactly, and educating them so that it doesn't become a taboo subject to talk about any of these things, and that men can feel comfortable and not shy away from those things because they're embarrassed and they don't understand. Because sometimes
body smell.
Yeah.
Body smell. If I can deal with some guy's stinky feet, he's going to have to deal with my body.
Yeah. Exactly. You need to educate them.
You need to educate them and not use, words. I tell you what makes me mad is when a lad would talk about fishy women.
Yeah.
No, that's not nice.
It's not right, is it? It's not right. And then you just want to tell them, well, why? Where does that come from?
Exactly.
All of those terrible words that surround our bodies and our biology.
well, let's try and get rid of those.
Yeah.
In fact, with my son, we don't talk. We have this deal when he was growing up that we don't use body parts as swear words.
That's a
yeah,
good
that is a
one.
good one, a really good
So
one.
I'm not allowed and he's not allowed.
Yeah.
But that's because we should be celebrating each other's.
Parts rather than using them as in a negative context.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So that stood with him, and he's an actor in his own right, and I get lots of women directors going, where did he come from? So it is about educating our children, and it does change things.
And going back to Jamie, I mean, obviously, the story of Jamie, it's, like you said, it's become a bit of a phenomenon now, in the sense that the story revolves around a young teenage lad who wants to be a drag artist, and with the support of his mum and friends, he's able to overcome those prejudices to kind of fulfill that. Was it important? Because as you said earlier, it is in you to kind of champion anything that you feel isn't being heard. Was it important to you to be part of this production?
It was important for me. I mean, I just went up to be absolutely honest, when I first went up for the West End, I just went for the job.
Yeah.
I really didn't know much about it until I was in the room. As much as I needed to do was I only had a turnaround of 2 seconds to learn a song, to present a song.
Oh my God.
And to learn a script, literally. And it was a very snowy day in January. And I just thought, well, look, I'll sing this song, I'll prep a song, because I'm not a musical theatre person. I can hang a tune. But
you can definitely hang a tune. I've heard you.
it's just like, you just want to get to the job. So, I was doing a Miserables audition that day as well. I had quite a few on that day, everything packed into that.
Mm-hmm.
That 24 hours in London. So I went in, and then, I learned a little bit more about it. I read the script on the train. That's a good bit of time management.
Yeah.
And it interested me. It interested me, of course it did. That, that there's a lot of prejudice surrounding people. We can't be ourselves ever.
Yeah.
And the thing about Jamie is it says it's, in this place where we belong, and there's a place where we belong. So I quite like that.
Yeah.
I like both those thoughts. And that's all I went in with. There's a place where we belong, and in this place where we belong. So that's what I got from the script. And then when I went in, I thought, I've never been in the West End. That was my West End debut. So
Really?
I thought,
Fantastic.
maybe I belong in the West End.
Yeah.
So I went in with that mindset.
Yeah.
And sold it to them.
Yeah.
Well, obviously, yeah. Fantastic.
So that was good. But and so then I was in there doing it, and the reaction from the audience is incredible because it speaks to everybody.
Yeah.
Everything is subjective. Audiences love things that,
They can interpret
That's
and
it.
relate to their own situations in different ways.
I mean, we're all really ego-driven, aren't we? In a sense that we like things that speak to us.
Of
So
course, yeah.
it was a two-way street there.
And how about the film version then? So obviously,
I'm laughing because I have no idea, really. I have no idea. I think the film,
it's going to be quite different. I mean,
Yeah,
obviously
yeah,
they're
and
going to
the
have
process
to
will be
cut
different.
things out and
Yeah.
change things.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, it is different. It is different, but I have signed an NDA.
okay.
Oh,
Right,
okay.
okay.
I've seen a teaser
Right.
because whilst we were filming, all those hours to keep our spirits up, they pulled together this teaser, and all I did was cry.
Really?
Yes, because of the representation on screen. I'm talking, as I said, as widely as possible. And you see it, and it just, I've never seen that, without pointing it,
I totally understand.
It just occurs. You've got all those kids dancing on their desks, and they are a reflection of Sheffield, and it's a reflection of our Great Britain. And I think that the thing about Jamie is it is a reflection of what makes our special place, Great Britain, great.
Yeah.
That's what I think, because what we tend to do nowadays is go, oh, if you're different or you're other, we don't want you because you drain this, you do that, you know, and there's so much negative language around.
Yeah.
But what we should be celebrating is our diversity.
Yeah.
And diversity in its widest sense.
Yeah.
Really, because there's no other place in the world like the United Kingdom.
I think that's so true. And I also think that, you know, in terms of fashion and beauty as well, we need to see more. So I was having a conversation only yesterday about how I was putting together an editorial, and I was looking for a true representation of all women for a beauty article. And there were certain women that I couldn't see. I couldn't see Asian women in beauty campaigns. And no matter how hard I searched, I couldn't find it.
Yeah,
and it was infuriating to me because I was like, there's a whole group of people not being represented, and I don't want for our platform to not be representing them, because I feel strongly about that.
I think the Americans have got it better in terms of the big brands that have South Asian and Southeast Asian women on their campaigns. Yeah. But here in this country, it's not yet. And also, I think that's in acting as well. It's still not yet. And if you're female and you're brown, it's still not yet. You know, we're just, you know, for people of other heritages, it may be or maybe not moving forward, but it's just kind of our representation. If you look at the figures, it's still quite low. And also to be still blokes, it's still blokes that get those leads. I mean, you've got, you know, have we got an equivalent of Idris Elba?
Yeah.
No.
Female? No. You know, do we discuss a female like we discuss Idris Elba?
Yeah.
You know, being as he's like our pioneer,
if
you like, in terms of representation of Black, Asian, minority, ethnic, whatever you want to call us. But, you know, since if he's there, and you've got John Boyega, but, you know, the girls are still in their roles.
Yeah.
Lupita is still in her role. She's, you know, if we don't get, you know, they might be doing the same thing, but so the press that don't give it that
absolutely
push.
And also it's not being it's giving people opportunity to create, because again, going back to the picture idea, I was like, well, nobody's creating it, obviously, nobody's commissioning it, nobody's putting it out there for it to be picked up. So where do you go with that? It kind of leaves you to then you have to go and create it. But even if you do create it, it's whether it'll be picked up. That's
whether it be picked up.
Because you can go away and do brilliant work, and they go, it's a bit of a risk, and then you go, well, yeah, take it. But people are so frightened to take risks.
It's true. I think modelling taught me that, though. You know, I was always going to be extra, and, you know, I tell you, I did this shoot once and I have a birthmark on my back. She goes, have you brought anything with you to cover that? And I went, no. Have you brought anything with you to cover that?
Why do you need to cover it?
Yeah. But it's about it. Well, I was on film. There was no digital. So it was, you know, to airbrush film is so much more expensive than to do it digitally, obviously. But it's interesting. It's so interesting trying to explain stuff, you know, like going into those rooms when I was a young girl, going, have you brought your own foundation? Where would I get it from?
Yes.
But, you know, and what skill would I have to mix my own colours?
And why should you have to?
Yeah, but in those days.
You did,
in those days, you know, it's like, no, you're fine. We'll bob a bit of eyeliner on you, a bit of eyeshadow, make you look a bit wacky, and then off you go.
Wow. You
know, but nothing to do with my...
So what more do you think we need to now be doing in terms of like how do we move forward?
Just make people.
Yeah.
Just make people, you know. And the thing is, you know, I always say to my son, I think they're missing a trick. You know, how much more money would you make to be more inclusive?
Yeah.
You would make, if that's what it's about.
Yeah.
You know, ultimately, it, you know, if life's about somebody's rich somebody somewhere's making money, if that's what they think that life's about, you know, commercial life. Then,
And the more people you include, the better, surely.
yeah, surely. But what we're doing is, are we separating again, you know, with Love Island? I tell you what, I'm obsessed by it, but I also hate it.
Yeah.
Agreed, yeah.
It's just kind of like, you know, and they keep making women are choosing to look in a particular way. And if you don't look like that, where do you sit? Can you ever find love?
Yeah.
Will you ever go to an island? Will you ever have those opportunities? Will you ever have, you know, and there's still just pockets of diversity.
Yeah.
Mm.
And as I said, in its broadest sense, but there's not enough. There's not enough in our mainstream media that is
And you're
celebrating that.
Yeah, and you're
Yes.
right that there is. I did a beauty workshop with some younger students just this week, and we discussed Love Island and how that there seems to be one particular beauty ideal that is being pushed quite heavily, that's massively impacting on a load of young children, particularly 14 upwards, who are now putting filters all over their pictures to look that way, and it's completely screwing up their version of what beauty is and what to celebrate. And it's like, I asked all of them, I said, well, tell me what beauty looks like. And they went, you've got to have really good eyebrows, really good plump lips, a really good tan, nice cut and colour. And I was like, oh my gosh, but they were honest. And if that's, that was their honest reaction, which I found worrying, but that's, and for me, I was like, right, okay, we need to challenge this. But at least they were honest, and that's kind of what they're being fed. So
That's
we
the
need to
norm for them.
feed them something different, and that is our responsibility, isn't it?
Yeah, totally.
It's so nice to sit in a room with women without false eyelashes.
Yeah.
yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
the infills.
Yeah.
I mean, I did wear them too, but then I'm now I'm so anti them now.
Mm.
Just because, I just think, let's try and be a little bit more natural. What is beauty?
I was just about to ask you the same question.
Yeah.
What is beauty?
the person,
Yeah.
the person, whoever that person is and however they identify, it's the person.
Oh, thank you so much, Shobna. I mean, we could totally talk all day. Unfortunately, though, we have run out of time for today.
What did we talk about?
Yeah,
I
we
don't even
talked
know.
about all sorts. Thank you so much for coming to see us, though. It's really honestly been so amazing to have you. And, again, we could have completely carried on talking loads and loads. Everyone's Talking About Jamie is currently touring the UK. And so if you'd like to see this incredible production featuring Shobna, then please visit www.everybodystalkingaboutjamie.co.uk for tickets. It is amazing. Now, we will be back next week with another special guest for more The Capsule in Conversation. But in the meantime, you can catch up with all of our regular content at our website, www.thecapsule.co.uk, and across all of our social media. You can also listen to our previous In Conversation episodes by subscribing to any of our podcast channels. Please do leave your rates and reviews, as always, love hearing from you. For today, though, all that's left for us to say is goodbye. So it's goodbye from Anna.
Goodbye.
Goodbye from Shobna.
Goodbye.
And goodbye from me.